when I got on Wild 'N Out, it was the reboot. So
Okay.
Wild 'N Out was on when I was like originally on when I was young. I don't know, like high school-ish, you know.
Yeah.
Probably junior high. I don't know, I forget. A long time ago. And even then I remember thinking, man, I would be good on this show because I was still like rapping back then, being funny, stupid with the homies. And then someone had left a comment or a tweet and they were like, hey, Nick Cannon's bringing Wild 'N Out back. And I was like, oh shit. So I followed Nick Cannon on Twitter. And then one day he tweeted, who's the funniest person online? Whoever gets the most retweets of hashtag Wild 'N Out needs me, I'll audition personally. And I was like, oh shit. So I had already kind of built up a little fan base on YouTube at this point. So I had my minions retweet.
Right.
And then someone DM'd me and were like, hey, if you're serious, contact this person for an audition. And I also, somebody I knew like in the business, like a manager homie, he saw my tweet and was like, hey, if you're serious, I can get you in the room, you know? So went on the audition, which was probably like a room of 6 people, one of those people being Nick Cannon.
Right.
And they're like, hey, okay, well first rap for us, whether it's like, you know, freestyle or written or whatever. And then they have you rap, and then we play some improv games. And then after that, they called me back for the group audition. And we auditioned with a bunch of other people, a bunch of other comedians. We rap battle a little bit, play some improv games. And then they were like, you're on the show. And I said, sweet.
Cool. Did you guys ever write stuff out? Or is this always like, it looked like it's improv completely?
Well, I put it to people like this, right? Because if you watch the show, we really only play like 5 or 6 games on repeat.
Right.
So naturally, when you're like in the bathtub or fucking eating your sandwich, you're gonna be like, oh, this would be a great joke.
Right.
You know? So you kind of store it in the back of your brain.
Yeah.
And of course, there are people who going into it, they might think like, oh, I should say this to this person, write it down a little bit.
Right. You know, the more you know the people, you know their, you know how to, I guess, joke with them. Yeah.
And like the night before, they'll tell us, you know, there's no scripts, but they'll tell us, oh, this person's on your team, this person's on the other team,
right.
blah, blah, blah. So if you want to, you can be like, oh, okay, let me write some shit down for this dude, right?
Right.
But there's no scripts. We just, you know, turn the cameras on and and play.
I mean, I always, you know, since I guess I watched like 8 Mile, you know, and watch the behind the scenes, I've always been fascinated with people who can be so quick at coming with like really elaborate insults and in a such a fun way and like rhyming and everything. I was like, what a skill.
And look, hey, I tell people too, man, look, you know, we shoot for like 2 hours, you know, because people are like, hey, how do you always come up with such fire? I'm like, I'll tell you what, it's not always fire.
Right.
It's not always great. But the beauty of TV is that when it's
like,
trash, they cut it, you know?
Yeah, which makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, so they shoot it for 2 hours and they cut it down to a clean, hilarious 20 minutes, you know?
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah. So, so now in your latest, I guess, part of or your the things that you're doing right now, you're doing 2 podcasts at the same time.
Yeah.
How did you get into podcasting? Did you see other comedians do it, or do you always like podcasting since it came out?
I mean, you know, I feel like, you know, everybody, they watch podcasts and they think I can have a podcast.
Oh yeah,
I'm laughing with my friends. This would be a great podcast. But for sure, I just thought I was already doing a lot of talky YouTube content, right? Like one of my original video series that went well for me on YouTube was just advice videos. Like I was doing a video series called Dear De La Ghetto, and this was back when, you know, I was Timothy De La Ghetto on YouTube, and you know, people would write me questions and sex and relationship stuff. So I thought, okay, this was a great format where I'll just sit around with my boy and my other co-host, and it'll be a good podcast, right? So I like I said, I thought I was a little late to the game, but my audience was supportive, and it did well.
Yeah.
You know? And then and you know what? A lot of people that think, oh, I can have a podcast, they'll do it for a couple months and they're like, I don't know what else to talk about anymore. You know
Absolutely.
Or I've seen a lot of people who they'll do it and then without the constant like edit button and the constant like something there to push it along, you get a lot of dead air. You
Absolutely. No. And like there's like the type of podcasting that you guys do, like usually I say you guys as comedians, people who can like talk nonstop without script like for every week is like amazing.
Well, thanks, man. You know, I just also recently got like actually diagnosed with ADHD. I think that helps to be a podcaster, you know, because my brain is kind of always
You're always doing a million things at once.
Yeah. So even when there is like a second of dead air, it's like, you know, there's somewhere else I can go. And so that's a blessing. And then my other podcast, which is Dudes Behind the Foods, it's my comedian homie David So who I was doing I do a food travel show with. We decided he also has his own podcast, but we thought we have like a super similar sense of humor and we like talking about food and we thought let's bring on food and eat and chat and you know, people like it, so it's a good time. Who would have thought, man? You know, all those years getting in trouble for talking too much in class and now paying the bills.
Right, that's the lesson for your daughter.
Yeah, exactly.
She's gonna use it against you when
she's like, Dad, I just want to be like you.
Right. So do you still audition? Do you still looking for like those movies? Because when do you have time? Because you still write music, you still sing,
I still, I do still audition. And I'm still trying to write like a movie and stuff. It's definitely really difficult to find time, you know. Especially when my first baby, my daughter, when she was kind of new, trying to find time to audition and stuff. Like I would have to do the auditions myself, you know, when the baby was asleep,
right?
You know, didn't have anybody to like read with me. You know, I just had to find a way. Luckily for me, my first baby was, you know, she was a pandemic baby, so all the auditions were self-tapes and all the meetings were on Zoom. So it was like
to help you to like,
I could be home, with
right?
The baby, you know. Now the world is open again, so for sure it's like, you know, if I have an audition, it helps. You know, we got a nanny now because we got 2 babies. It's a lot, bro. It's a game changer, man. If you think you're tired with this first one, just wait till if y'all have a second one, bro.
I mean, if you were to ask me now, it's like, no way.
I got 2 little skeletons myself.
So you feel me, bro?
I feel you.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. Going from 1 to 2. Wow.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't know it was gonna be that different. So when I was already procrastinating on trying to write this movie, now it's like, when do I find time to write this movie, you know? And it just really kind of comes down to prioritizing my the things I do with my time, which is difficult. Like now it's like, okay, do I want to watch this show I've been trying to watch on Hulu for a month now? Can I binge this show, or should I actually just fucking sit down and write? You know, I'm like, God.